Okay, good. So we're up to Siman Kof Ches. The halachos of taking off tefillin. Interesting. Says the Mechab Siman Kof Ches halacha Aleph. Chayiv Adam lemashmish betefillin b'chol sha'ah. A person should constantly, regularly check his tefillin. Shelo yasiach daita mehen, that you shouldn't lose concentration and forget that you're wearing them. V'yimashmish b'shel yad tefillah. You touch the shel yad first. You then you touch the shel yad. You touch the shel rosh. Says the Mishnah Berurah. B'chol shah pirush b'chol shah shenizkar bohem chayiv lemashmish. When you remember, you should touch the tefillin. Because doing that, you constantly remember that you're wearing tefillin. And your mind won't be diverted from it. And furthermore, that if they've fallen out of place, you can be able to put them back in the proper position. It says Mishnah Berurah in Sif Cotton Base. During davening, you don't actually have to touch the tefillin. If you take a look at the Dirshu note 4 and 5, he says not only that during tefillah, but also during learning. And in footnote 5 he says Tam Hadava, the reason is Kosav Lekamon She'af Agav Shein Nechshav Hesach Hadas and Mekain Omed B'Schoik V'Kalas Reish. Hesach Hadas is really when you're messing around, you're schmoozing, you're talking, and you're totally diverted from wearing tefillin. There is a higher level that you should be constantly aware that you're wearing tefillin. Not to think inappropriate thoughts. And therefore, you should touch the tefillin to remind you of that you're wearing them. But when you're actually davening, you shouldn't disturb your davening to actually just touch the tefillin. Okay, Sif Cotton Gimel, b'shel yad, you touch the shel yad first. The shel yad it's very interesting. Why do you touch the shel yad first? Because it's closer to you and ein mavrin al mitzvahs. Because if your hand is here and you go like that, you're sort of bypassing the hand which is closer to you. Tchila, v'achkach b'shel rosh, and then you do the shel rosh. V'im be'es mishmush hashel rosh matzu shenit me'im koimei. If you notice that the shel rosh has slipped from its place, and v'noideloi oz shel yad gam kein nit me'im koimei, and you also notice the shel yad has slipped from its place, tzorich lahachzah shel yad tchila al mekoimei. You've got to put the shel yad back into its position first. Mikra, from the pasuk of kshartim lo yisal yadecho. Because of the pasuk, it puts the emphasis on the yads first and then the shel rosh. V'adar, and then it says l'toitafos be'necho kanal b'simen chafei sif vav. Good. Okay, halacha base. Tefillin shel rosh choles tchila. When you take off your tefillin, you take off the shel rosh first. Mishum dichsiv v'hoyu l'toitafos bein einecho. It's in plural. Kol zman shebein einecho yushtayim. When you are wearing the shel rosh, there should be two. And therefore, if you take off the tefillin shel yad first, you're wearing the shel rosh on its own. So therefore, you always take off the shel rosh first. Tzorich lachlo is tefillin shel rosh b'mumad. You take off the tefillin shel rosh in a standing position. V'yaniach batik shel rosh v'alov shel yad. And you put them in the tefillin bag. You put the shel rosh first, and then you put the shel yad. Because when you take the next morning, you take the tefillin out, you're going to encounter the tefillin shel yad first. Says the Mishnah Berurah, choles tchila. Once you've unwound the retzuas around your hand, then you take off the shel rosh. So too, you should be standing when you take off the retzuas from your finger, from your hand. And according to our minhag, as opposed to Sfarad minhag, according to our minhag Ashkenaz, we put our tefillin on. It was in a standing position. We also have to take them off when we're standing up. Just like we put them on standing up, we should take them off standing up. To take the tefillin off with your left hand. Why do you think we do that? No. To do it, biyad small, shehuyad keya laharos shekosha olav chalitzason. If you're doing it, it's difficult for you to do it. You don't really want to take them off. It shows that you're not enthusiastic to take it off. And if a person is a lefty, shekol melachta b'smolo, everything he does is with his left hand, choltzin b'yamino. He takes the tefillin off with his right hand. Kadesh le'lasas hachalitz from so you shouldn't take them off too quickly. You show a certain reluctance to take them off. Okay, Zayin, v'alov shel yad, kosev abach, v'chein ataz le'el, b'simil chafei, siv koton yud, tahainu sheyasa tik oirech v'tzar, shemunochim ze al gav zeh. You have a long and narrow tefillin bag, you put the shel rosh at the bottom, and then the shel yad on top, and that way the shel yad is always available first. However, v'amogen avrom, kosev the yosef tov litna tefillin zeh b'tzad zeh. It's not good to have sort of a tube-like tefillin bag, but rather a tefillin bag like most of us have, that you put the tefillin shel yad next to the tefillin shel rosh. Why? You put the shel yad a little bit nearer. And the reason is because the tefillin shel rosh has more kedusha, and therefore if you're putting them at the bottom, you've got a bit of a problem. Okay. Well, for Sefer Shulchan Shloim, because of the tov shiur tefillin shel yad b'tzad yamin shel hatik, the tefillin shel yad should be on the right hand side of your tefillin bag. Gam kein b'tam zeh for this reason. V'yesh nagin lasas shnei kisin. But people have I've never seen this actually, where each tefillin is in its own little bag. Have you seen that? You've got a little sort of wrapper, cover for each of your tefillin shel yad, another one for tefillin shel rosh, and then you put those in the bag. So there are people who have that. Echad shel yad ve'echad shel rosh. V'ach gam. Yeah, maybe, but in the box, I've never seen it. But he's describing. I looked in the pictures in the sefer, and he's talking about putting them in a little bag, a little pouch, and then you put the pouches in the tefillin bag. I haven't seen it. You put the shel yad a little bit elevated. Why? That's the first one you encounter. It won't be a problem of ein mavrin al mitzvahs. The das hataz le'el b'simen chafei. The gamer de kiss shaykh mavel al mitzvahs. Even from the bag, there's an issue of mavel al mitzvahs. I'm mogen avrom b'simen chafei siv kotin aleph. Oisem le'odam hanogin lasos tzikin the tefillin. Yesh loim lesamein eze shaykh l'shel rosh v'eze shel yad. You got to know where's the shel yad and the shel rosh, because the key is you got to make sure you take out the shel yad first. You shouldn't take out the shel rosh first. Furthermore, the shel rosh, the kedusha, as I said, is more chamor. Etc. Okay, good. Hey, ches tchila v'lo yitzdarech lahaver la mitzvah. Some people, they put the shel rosh in the tefillin bag, and only then do they take off the tefillin shel yad. Why? Because you might otherwise, if you just left it there sitting on the table, the shel rosh, and then you take the tefillin shel yad off and you put it in the bag, you might put it in the wrong place in the bag. So therefore, they're particular to do that. Okay, Gimel. Minhag hachachomim lenashik hatefillin b'shas halachos and b'shas chalitzoson. The minhag is to kiss the tefillin both before you put them on and after you take them off. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Sifkot and Tes, Kashem mekapel hatefillin, when you wrap up the tefillin, lo yichur charitzuas al batim. Don't put the ritzuas over the batim, over the tefillin themselves. Ela bitstod habatim, like we all do it. You do it around the sides of the bias, al Torah, which is the bridges on the sides. V'yesh nagin lekarchem b'knafayim al shem kanfei yonah. The Gemara in Shabbos says, it's in a couple of places. There's a famous story related of Lezer Demila that he was told there was a time of B'shas Hashmad, and the Romans were coming, and they said, "Well, you weren't allowed to wear tefillin," and he wrapped them in his hand. And he goes, "What have you got in your hand?" "I've got kanfei yonah, wings of doves." And he said, "Open your hands," and he sees there's kanfei yonah. So as a remes to that, people tie they wrap up their tefillin in that shape. What exactly it looks like, I'm not entirely sure.
I do this.
You do it in the shape of a kanfei yonah?
I don't around the box. I don't put the two. The bits that basically end up around your head. So when you put
you leave them out.
I leave them out.
So they're flapping out. And they look like wings. I see, very nice. When you take them out, when you're wrapping up the tefillin, you should be holding the shel yad or the shel rosh, and therefore you're holding it, and then you're wrapping around it. But don't hold the ritzua and then sort of do it the other way around, because A, it's disrespectful, and B, it might fall. Don't shake them out from your bag. Again, it's disrespectful and it might spill onto the floor. You take them out with your hand respectfully and carefully. Tik tefillin also b'chshal shatnez. The tefillin bag should not be made of shatnez. They explain because you could get some warmth from them. Okay, let's do the next siman quickly. Siman chavtes. Ein levarich shum bracha k'shecheles tefillin. You don't make any bracha when you take off your tefillin. Afilu k'shecholtzim erev Shabbos ben hashmoshes. Even if you take them off Erev Shabbos, but you're not going to wear them on Shabbos, and therefore it's Shabbos is Lav's man tefillin, but you don't make a bracha when you take them off. Says the Mishnah Berurah, you've got an aleph, ein levarich, pirush, la'afukim imay damrinon, the bnei ma'arava him mevarchin hashekitshon b'mitzvayso v'tzivonu lishmer chukov, boss of the masaket tefillin belayla. They would say that bracha after they take their tefillin off at night time, shehem ho yusayvim the layla's man tefillin hu, because they were of the opinion that layla is not a time for tefillin, and therefore every afternoon, every evening when they would take their tefillin off, they would make that bracha. They say his daytime is for tefillin and not nighttime. But us, the Svirlon, the Haikra, Oslin Nacher, Kedisa Gemara, it's got a different explanation of that pasuk. The Laila Kaimalon the Zman tefillin, who we hold that nighttime is a Zman tefillin. We could wear them tefillin at night time because we paskin Laila is his man tefillin. So why don't we wear them? A gezerah that you might fall asleep, you might pass wind, it's inappropriate, etc. And therefore you don't make a bracha when you take the tefillin off. Bein hashmoshes, even on Friday afternoon, bein hashmoshes pirush after kaimal on Shabbos v'yom tov lav's man tefillin, because we agree that Laila, is his man tefillin, but Shabbos and Yom Tov is not as man tefillin. And therefore putting tefillin on Shabbos or Yom Tov is a problem of Bal Tosef. Mikol Mokum, nevertheless, since putting them on Shabbos and Yom Tov is not an ism in Torah, it's just an ism in Rabbanon. It's a gezer you maybe would go out into Rosh Hashanah. Therefore, we do not make a bracha when we take our tefillin off, even on Friday afternoon. Because there's no mitzvah to take them off. It's just that there's a gezer in case we come to carry them in the Rosh Hashanah on Shabbos himself, and therefore we do not make a bracha when we take our tefillin off. Say that. Okay, we'll leave it at that.